At the very beginning, we are introduced to a dragon who watched over the earth from the sky. In all the world, only one man could stand up to him. In order to save the underworld, he cultivated for more than 1,000,000 years and eventually pacified the great disaster. However, he died immediately after becoming king. The former subordinates rebelled, and countless treasures and territories were divided. This very prince is the ancestor of the main character. He was told all about this by some unknown girl who started a conversation with him while he was walking. The girl replied that she was the same age as the prince. Her name was Chris. She was going to take revenge on the traitors. Alex asked her if she could help him by becoming his faithful assistant. Then they will put an end to the underworld and the heavens, and will rule over the 3 worlds. Chris got angry because she thought the hero wanted to deceive her and hit the guy in the stomach. She said that she would let me go with her to the underworld. After these words, a portal opened in front of the heroes. He immediately began to suck Alex, who was sitting on the bench. A few moments later, the hero landed on the ground and hit the ground. When he woke up, he realized that he really was a descendant of that prince, because he saw the huge castle in which he lived. Chris replied that these were already Alex's possessions and were named that way. The hero was inspired and wanted to avenge his lost possessions and take revenge on the traitors. Here the girl interrupted him and said that the guy was a general without an army. He immediately realized that he would not become any kind of ruler now. Suddenly, Chris said that she had a magical artifact. She retrieved a powerful artifact from the underworld. Although the prince died just at the final stage of the artifact's creation, she also took part in it. The power of the artifact lies in the use of energy to strengthen the body. The artifact is activated, the carrier's identity is determined, and a blood test is performed. When the hero put it on, he felt enormous power. But when it was revealed that souls were needed for use, the girl began to cry because she had not taken care of this. The guy immediately began to console her. When she calmed down, she began to list Alex's description. He began to tell her that he was a game creator and would be able to combine the ring's functions with the game. As long as players play the game, they will be able to summon their souls, and as long as the game is popular, they will have a large number of monsters. The hero didn't expect the little girl to understand everything. But games are a big project. The girl asked to leave it to her. With the help of the artifact, she could help. Spiritual strength is the main indicator of power in the underworld. The main thing is that they can extract spiritual power to increase their power. After some time, the heroes reached the place that Alex's ancestor had built. The grandeur of the past can still be felt. 2 hours later, the heroes are finished and you can connect with the game. When they returned home, they started working on the devices. At the same time, they began to think about the name of the game. 2 hours later, the game was ready, but no one had downloaded it yet. Having finished speaking, the girl said that this was bad because they didn't have much time. To the east of the palace, there is a combat area. There is a huge number of soldiers there. Hearing this, Alex started shouting and asking why she didn't tell her about it earlier. Suddenly, the heroes saw that the first player had entered the server. It was about a player who wanted to check out what she was like. This player's name was Demian, and he was a pro player. Alex asked if people would really believe in 100% immersion. Because the hero doubted the girl, she hit him in the stomach. She said she had thought about it in advance, so the players would feel less pain. As soon as the player entered the server, he began to feel the rain. He was surprised that he could feel the rain dripping on his body. After this, the former prince appeared before him and asked him to choose one of the classes. Several available classes stood before him. He said it was just a game, but the construction of the opening scene couldn't be like that. Alex and Chris worked on this and started bragging. In the end, Demian chose the assassin class. By wearing the assassin's outfit, he may experience an increase in agility. As soon as he finished everything, he immediately received his first assignment. Alex asked his friend if the starting suit was too weak. He learned that there were some wandering souls in the game, which he became interested in. When he began to study the map, he felt goosebumps from the terrible sounds. Demian began to calm himself down, because it was just a game. Suddenly, while he was walking, he met a flying snake. The guy didn't understand why such monsters were so scary for beginners. No matter how real it may seem, it is just a monster for beginners. When the snake realized that the guy was underestimating him, he got angry. Even such emotions here are rich and real. But since the guy was a pro player, and the monster was too weak for him, the soul said that the guy was unlucky to meet him. Demian wanted to see how strong he was. The next moment, the monster suddenly attacked him. The attack was double, and Demian was thrown back into the distance. When he landed, his clothes were destroyed, and his equipment not only had short lifespans, but also was damaged. The snake only has 2% health left, and Demian has no reason to fear. The next moment, the guy was already running as fast as he could towards the monster. But after a little while, he tripped over a stone and died. Seeing this, Alex realized that the equipment settings needed to be adjusted. Chris said that the player's body in the underworld is condensed with energy, but after dissipation, the soul returns back to the body. Demian was very upset that the revival would take 3 hours. He immediately started recommending the game on forums. After a few minutes, the number of players increased. When the players entered, they were surprised by its realism. At that very second, a wandering soul appeared and attacked the players again. The people were already ready for battle and attacked. Chris looked at them and watched how the players liked Alex's new game. They adapted very quickly, and their team play reached a silent understanding. At this time, only Demian was in uniform and asked how people were playing. At this time, the players finished the fight with the souls. After defeating them, the unofficial commander said that he would first receive a reward and then increase the squad's strength. Only at the second level did the captain feel enormous power. If their level continues to rise, this feeling will continue to become stronger. After this, the commander wanted to go into the store and look around. The shop contained weapons, armor, and various potions. He said that after receiving a new weapon, he felt stronger. He wants to help cleanse the souls of the newcomer village. According to Chris's settings, after killing monsters, the monsters' souls are divided into 3 parts. In addition, a percentage will be charged on every purchase made in the store. The more they buy, the more Alex gets. Out of joy, the guy began to throw his girlfriend into the air and praise her. After some time, the players reached the next game location. As soon as people set foot in a new location, they began to look for a new boss. After that, a huge horned demon appeared from behind. The squad leader decided to attack him first. Everyone else followed him in unison. Alex stood behind a rock nearby and watched the fight. Chris said that the group of players was stronger than they expected. Low-level souls couldn't stop them. The monster was supposed to drop a rare item, and the girl decided to keep it a secret. As soon as the monster had a small amount of health left, it began to get angry and became stronger. At this time, the players ran out of potions. Suddenly, as soon as the demon raised his head, he saw that something was falling on him. It was Demian, who was cursing at his comrades. It landed on his head and cut his body in half. After the kill, the team members became stronger because the level increased. Some kind of sphere appeared from the monster's body. This sphere is very valuable, so they decided to sell it. Once the team finished with this, the system gave them many new tasks. At this time, Alex asked why this sphere was needed. The girl replied that the sphere simply needed to be eaten. As soon as the hero took a bite, his body began to burn, but the warmth was comfortable. Chris said that even though the guy is a descendant of the prince, his body is ordinary and needs to be improved. Here, the guy became very inspired and wanted to attract more players. After some time, the system said that the players would soon leave the game. They immediately started screaming and worrying that they hadn't managed to do anything. Alex asked why they made a time limit. Chris replied that all this was necessary for everything to be okay. When Demian left the game, he began to complain that there was nothing in the world more painful than waiting. Then he noticed that he had received a message from his boss. He asked why people didn't go to the other game. The next day, one of the team members said that after leaving the previous game, they were creating a team in Alex's game. A girl from the team said that she wanted to donate to the game, but she couldn't find a way to do it. The allies responded that this was simply because the creator did not need money. Charlie said he had searched through a bunch of websites to find some advertisements for the game. The heroes were at Alex's house and eating noodles. Alex promised the girl that they would soon be eating seafood. As a rule, gaming companies make money from donations. Chris replied that the coins from the dungeon are very rare, and players need to try hard to get them. To expand his audience, he needed more money, but Alex was really poor and knew it. The hero said that his girlfriend was crying like a baby, but he has a plan to join tomorrow's event in the game. The event itself was free. At the same time, one of the employees of the rival game decided to try playing Alex's game. He really didn't like her at first sight, but as soon as he entered the game, he was surprised. After 12 hours of playing, he was very pleased with his progress. After some time, he reported to his boss that he had discovered the treasure. He started talking about his feelings about the new game. I asked the boss not to get angry and just try to play. Kaiser replied that he had played a lot of games and was not easily surprised now. When the boss entered the game, he was also surprised by the realism of the game. The next day, Alex took his friend out to eat and she cried from the taste of the food. Suddenly, someone called the hero. It was Kaiser who started asking the guy if he owned the new game. He thought to himself that he had been playing all night, and if it hadn't been for the restriction, he wouldn't have known it was already noon. At the same time, the guy agreed to meet with the director. The Kaiser said that he would arrive very soon, and the guy was surprised by this. Chris continued to eat and asked for more. 20 minutes later, a sports car arrived for the heroes. The director got out of the car and said that he was looking for Alex. The restaurant owner thought that he was approaching him and wanted to buy his stall. When I realized that he wasn't talking to him, I was very upset. The man immediately began to get acquainted with the heroes. A moment later, they got ready and left, the girl looking at her plate with tears in her eyes. After some time, the three arrived at the most expensive restaurant in the city. The restaurant workers talked about what was on this table. The heroes were very happy, but Chris began to shake with impatience. Here, Kaiser decided to get down to business. He asked if the hero had made this game himself, and the guy became confused in his thoughts. The man realized that he shouldn't have asked that and apologized. Alex realized that from the very beginning the director was only interested in buying the game. The hero replied that developing their game required a lot of effort. Here, the Kaiser offered a huge sum in return. The guy spilled wine all over himself at this offer. He began to imagine himself swimming in money and rejoicing. But in the end, he apologized again and refused, because he created the game for fun and not for money. Suddenly, the Kaiser offered even more money, and the hero became completely desperate. Without any emotion, the guy refused again. The director was surprised to himself that the young man still refused. In that case, he offered to pay them if they would publish the game only on their platform. Alex thought to himself about Chris's promise to unite the entire world. He replied that he could not agree, but they could cooperate. The Kaiser thought this was completely out of his rhythm. He replied that the guy really knows how to run a business. Their position is their most expensive method of promotion. As a result, they celebrated the conclusion of the cooperation. After some time, Chris told the hero about the territories of the former prince. Their territory is in the east, and the nearest one belongs to the Ghost General. The guy remembers that she said that he might invade. If they strike first, they can take back the territory. Alex began to wonder how to give characters intelligence so that they could act autonomously. Chris told him that it wasn't difficult. She could do it herself. The girl began to explain how she would work on improving them. After some time, the girl created new locations and a permanent task. Alex asked her to make sure the game's charm was reflected in the graphics. The girl corrected him that if he wanted to make a good game, he would have to spend a lot of money. In response to this, the guy said that he already knew what needed to be done. He decided to use the artifact, collect energy, and restore greatness. Then they just use that instead of computer graphics. And finally, it's the protagonist's turn. After these words, the hero turned into the Prince of Darkness. Upon seeing him, Chris immediately recognized her master, and his behavior and manner of speech were familiar to her. Alex said that the actors were in place and they could begin. Since the artifact is related to the game, you only need to use screen recording. After this, a huge dragon appeared and stood against the prince. Alex, in the form of a prince, told the dragon that if he wanted to fight, then let him fight. The undead army also wanted to fight. On the other side, an army of goblins stood against them. After the battle, the Prince of Darkness stood on a mountain of corpses and said that it was a boring battle. The dragon said that he had underestimated him and began to fire into his body. Alex decided to meet this fiery gust and jumped into the monster's mouth. He wanted to kill the dragon from the inside. A moment later, the opponents were surrounded by a sphere of fire. The Shadow Army was glad that they had won, but their prince had sacrificed himself. At this time, a baby was born in the prince's castle. The army of the undead began to praise the new prince. At this time, a meeting began in the Kaiser Company Tower. One of the man's employees became indignant about why Michael had joined their meeting. The director replied that he had called him personally. He was the one who discovered the new game. Colleagues immediately began discussing the inclusion of this game in their competition. Then Kaiser asked Michael to show the staff a trailer for the game. The man said he had already loaded the video into their helmets. A few minutes later, people started praising the new game and its graphics. After some time, Kaiser called Alex and began to tell him about his impressions of his trailer. Everyone in his company liked this trailer. But atmospheric music alone is not enough to achieve perfection. A magnificent soundtrack must be created. It suddenly dawned on Chris that they had completely forgotten about it. This is a big problem, because in addition to background music, you also need to make theme music. Kaiser said it was a problem to hire a composer and a singer. The problem was that Alex didn't have the money to create music. The director realized that the guy was not creating the soundtrack because of his peculiar thoughts. He also said that there is more good news about his game. After hearing this, the heroes gave each other high fives in happiness. Alex decided that if the game was going to be officially released, they should make a non-player character. The heroes suggested that each other create a guide. The souls they received from the first players can be invested in the creation of a guide. Chris saw that the guy was creating a character and thought that he was creating a beauty. Alex actually made a handsome male guide. They just made it, but it's already strong. Here, the hero remembered that since this was a real person with consciousness, he could attack them. Suddenly, the guy knelt before the heroes. He is the adopted son of the former Prince of Darkness. Charlie must do his best to help Alex, because he inherited the prince's will. The guy was touched by this and will try to do everything possible. The hero added the ability to create guilds when reaching a certain level. At this time, in the office of some platform, they were celebrating their victory. The owner of this company, Felix, was not surprised that he took first place. But then it turned out that Alex's game scored higher. This result made the man jump up and start asking questions. Felix couldn't believe that the game could be so realistic. At this time, Kaiser sat and waited for the game to be launched on his platform. Suddenly, Felix called him and started accusing the man of scams. He still didn't understand that a released game could get 10 points. Kaiser said that the game was already running and the guy could download it. Then he said he had important things to do and hung up. Felix decided to download it and try it. He realized that the developers had to pay a lot for good reviews. When he entered the game, he saw a huge number of players. He had never seen a game that was so realistic. Suddenly, Kaiser appeared from behind him and called him to hunt. The guy was surprised, because the director said that he had important business. At this time, a snake attacked Felix, but suddenly some man attacked him. He killed this snake himself for his mistress. Felix flew back into the distance and told Kaiser that he could rely on him. Suddenly, a girl attacked him and told him that he better take care of himself. As a result, the guy died and began to resent the fact that he had to wait for revival. On the other hand, the game amazes even a developer like him. At this time, the heroes watched as their game gained popularity. Alex said that they need to attract as many players as possible to fight. Suddenly, Kaiser called the guy and told him what had happened. He asked him for some coins so that he could buy things and take revenge. Alex told him that he would be able to get coins from monsters. Before officially launching the game, he kept 100 coins for himself. But developers cannot interfere with the gameplay. Kaiser asked to be introduced to the development team. A few hours later, Kaiser and Felix reached the mountain ridge. The Kaiser began to calm his comrade and said that they had robbed them, and they needed to wait for the right time. He bought a new sword. At that time, that team was busy hunting ghosts. When the moment came, the comrades attacked the team. They killed one of them, but the girl managed to dodge. She began to resent the fact that they could calmly attack her. Felix replied that the advantage was on their side. At this time, the ghost attacked her, surprising the heroes. Returning home, the girl began to swear because the monster killed her. She ordered him to call his brother and tell him that she was being bullied. At this time, the Kaiser ordered a meeting of all employees. Felix crawled up behind his assistant and startled him. He ordered everyone to put on their helmets and prepare for war. At this time, the girl's brother came to her with his thugs. Jessie asked her butler to take the things downstairs so that there would be enough for everyone. She said that knives were useless in this situation. She was attacked in the game. After listening to his sister, the guy ordered his guys to choose a specialization. Eventually, her guild was created. The Felix and Kaiser guild was also created. They were preparing for war between each other. After some time, Chris woke Alex up and told him to look at what was happening in the game. Although guilds have not yet been officially created, players have created groups. A conflict has broken out between them, and it won't stop until they kill each other. By earning hero coins, heroes will become millionaires. Chris said the coins were important to them too. To restore the palace, you need a lot of soul coins. They will not be able to live life to the fullest. To begin with, the guy decided to sell 500 soul coins. He used the artifact to pretend to be a player. Alex chose the mage class, which was not particularly strong to begin with, and it didn't have many strong skills. It has great potential, and many techniques are stored in the underworld. By adding more skills to the shop, the player's strength will grow. At this time, the hero received Jessie's coordinates, and she will become his target. After that, he sat on the bird and flew away. Chris told him to use the energy to transmit the coordinates to the Phoenix. A few minutes later, in the mountains, the guy found her team. They asked Alex if he was from the Avengers Guild. The guy was surprised that in such a short time the guilds had quarreled so much. Then Jessie came out and said she didn't know Alex. The hero told her that she could exchange the coins for him. The girl didn't believe that he had a lot of coins and asked him not to waste her time. As soon as she realized what he said, she immediately clung to him. She thought he was lying and asked where he got them from. After this, the hero received a deal with the exchange and placed 500 coins. Jessie was convinced that he really did have money. She imagined how she would spend all the money. Alex asked her to go to the trading site to make sure. The girl said that she could simply transfer the money to his bank account. After this, her assistant left the game to translate. Jessie asked him again where he got so much money. The hero said that it was all because of the task. He was very lucky. A few moments later, the assistant returned to the game and said that she was finished. Then Chris told the guy that the money had indeed arrived in the account. After that, Alex thanked the girl and left. In her mind, Jessie admired her new acquaintance besides her brother. There were other interesting guys. Suddenly, she was brought out of her thoughts by a message that her team was in an ambush. It wasn't because of the players, but because of the monsters. At this time, a huge army of monsters was approaching them. In the real world, The heroes came to a restaurant to eat. Alex said that when you have a lot of money, you can refuse nothing. There is one more thing that worries him. When he left, he noticed an army of monsters. Chris said they could send players to explore enemy territory. This will not only make players understand, but also encourage them to spend soul coins. Alex supported her proposal and said that they would establish the level of access. After this, high-ranking players will have to accept the task. Suddenly, Alex saw the first guild being created in the game. Seeing this, Alex grabbed Chris and they left. At this time in the game, a huge number of players arrived at the prince's palace. There was also Charles's group that had gathered to do the research. His comrade asked Charlie what he knew about the General of Darkness. The guy immediately began to talk about the greatness of the monster general. He said that he had 500 soldiers who had captured an entire area. Hearing this, James realized that this game was too realistic. Here he ordered his group to head off on a further mission. The girl from the team said that after completing it, she will have new outfits. Alex and Chris watched them and called them professional gamers. A fan group also formed around Charlie. Chris looked at this and suggested that the hero create a new character. After that, he immediately began creating a new hero. It was a traveling merchant. Alex suggested that the girl go and see how the task was progressing. The girl is worried that the players are feuding with each other. The hero reassured her and said that everything was still ahead. After some time, the players reached the camp of the demonic horsemen. The girl told James that she had found out everything about the territory. There they discovered a dead horseman on the slope. A moment later, the entire area around the team was filled with dead people. They immediately prepared for battle. A second later, a bloody battle began. One of the team told his comrades that if anyone else could fight, they should do so. As it turned out, the entire team ran out of mana and strength. Chris said it would get dark soon, and the riders would have an advantage. Alex replied that players can use torches. At this time, Jesse's guild appeared on the battlefield. She got new clothes, which she specially exchanged for coins. Kaiser's team also arrived. Then Chris remembered that the guilds were at odds with each other. Alex's mood doesn't change. Everything is the same as at the beginning. The enemies decided that they would decide everything after the massacre was over. The hero said that the only way to win was to kill the general. As soon as they kill the main one, all the others will immediately disappear. After Jesse attacked the boss, he immediately began to attack rapidly. Her new equipment is useless against this monster. The girl's brother immediately began to worry about his sister. He sent warriors to help her. James also ordered his team to behead the monster commander. Suddenly, the crowd of players was swept away by a wave of the boss's attack. The man admitted that the general had used a powerful attack. The Kaiser also told his subordinates that their main target was the commander. At this time, the commander himself became furious and shouted. The ground beneath him began to crack and everything around him became covered in his power. Alex said that he underestimated his power. Even the strongest group did not have enough strength. It would be better for them to explore other areas for now and avoid this land. The hero also asked Chris to start recording players. 3 days later, the research mission turned into a face-to-face confrontation between the three guilds. At this time, the leaders of the three guilds decided to have a conversation. The girl asked the hero to read the comments on the forum. The game now has a screen recording feature, which has increased the number of gamers. People are starting to resort to hackers for help. They will be disappointed, because the game works directly from the human brain. The heroes immediately discovered that some player had drawn the map by hand. There is a player who used the screen recording feature while developing a map. 4 new areas have appeared on the Low King's map. Alex is most concerned about one player who works as a firefighter. During the rescue operation, he lost an arm and a leg. Gradually, he began to become disillusioned. But once he entered the game, everything changed. I got to the game and saw that my arms and legs were still there. The feeling was so realistic that he began to cry. This story touched Chris, and she thought that their game could give people a zest for life. Suddenly, Alex came to the point that the game should not be a game related to wars. It could become casual. Players with a passion for fishing can try their hand at a new sea. Another example is the Cliff of Despair of the Rock Demon King. There are many amazing places for spirit cultivation in this area. The hero realized that this world is full of possibilities. As the map becomes more familiar, more and more people will join the game. At this time, an army of monsters gathered on the border of the territories. The soldiers told the general about the further territory. Their plan was for the players to become scared and retreat. Suddenly, the general felt a powerful energy. This energy reminded him very much of the former prince. Suddenly, a group of people appeared near the monster camp. They came to kill the general and his soldiers. One of the soldiers told the commander that they were starting a provocation again. Then the monster ordered the army to kill the people. The next moment, the enemy forces clashed and the battle began. At this time, Chris and Alex were watching the situation in the game and saw how the general led a regiment of the dead. Alex said that everything was included in his plan. After some time, the general finished the battle with the people. The soldiers told him that very soon they would reach the city of people. The general ordered to continue the march and prepare to kill. As soon as the monsters arrived, crowds of people appeared before their eyes, illuminating them with bloody glances. The general was very frightened by this. The soldiers said that they would not be able to retreat because they had been ambushed. Then Jesse and Kaiser appeared, arriving for the slaughter. In an instant, crowds of people gathered to kill the general. As it turned out, this was Alex's plan. After the defeat against the general, the major guilds decided to unite. Even if a monster has a huge army, it will not be able to resist people. The players started shouting at the soldiers that they wouldn't be able to escape. They are not at all afraid of death. Even with an advantage in strength, the general cannot withstand such numbers. He didn't intend to die here and at the hands of people. Then Jessie came up to him and said that she was now ready. The Kaiser warned her to be careful. The monster was surprised to see the people he had killed. A moment later, people came even closer to him. Finding itself in this position, the monster again broke free from the player's captivity using an aura column. In the end, the general died, and a powerful sword fell from him. Also dropped was the Ghost Commander armor. Players also received an accessory from the runic artifact set. Alex couldn't wait for the general to finally be killed. Then Chris remembered that the hero wanted to add several hidden classes. Once they receive the artifact, the girl will be able to come up with a plan for the rune warriors. Players' strength will be greatly improved. Alex couldn't believe the talisman was so powerful. The girl replied that rune warrior is the systemic name for a systemic warrior. To craft, a blacksmith must prepare many materials. Once Chris has thoroughly studied the rune and added the template to the artifact, he will be able to create a hidden class. Only she doesn't know if the player who received the talisman will appear. A moment later, the heroes finally received the talisman from the sale. The next day, Damien was glad that the berserker was changing classes. But then he realized that he had no benefit from this, because he had an assassin class. As soon as the guy started looking through the class, they started telling him the history of the class. His strength increased many times, and he shattered the ground beneath his feet. He also has the ability to protect runes. At this time, some magician girl launched a rain of fragments from the sky. Damien said that attacks of this level are affected by the defense like drops of rain. The hero's speed has also increased. As soon as the test was over, the guy began to worry that he had already chosen a different class, and it was too late to change anything. The system told the boy that he could learn more about the class. Alex praised Chris for her work. The girl was very pleased with this, and said that she would release 3 directions at once. The first will be the system of ancestral curses. The second is the demon system. Well, the third one is the soul monster system. The girl is still figuring out how to deal with assassins. New professions require the creation of materials. Each character needs to be carefully developed. Here Chris hinted that she wanted to get some goodies for her work. The hero stroked her head and agreed. At this time, on the territory of the monsters, the soldiers met with the general. They said that as long as they continue to donate, their status will be recognized. The general said that if the prince was there, he could have shown up. They need to be patient for a while. The messenger replied that he must say that the Ghost Commander had already been defeated. He was located at the junction of the districts and could not die. Not only he died, but his entire squad. The general couldn't believe it. At this time, Alex said that thanks to the ability to record the screen, the video was posted on video portals. They also collected the required amount of coins and can restore the city. A moment later, a beam of light struck the main castle. And finally, the reconstruction is finished. The castle's vault contains all techniques and combat skills. Since this place is for cultivation, so they can call the building a pavilion. Suddenly, a bright stream of light burst out from the hero's ring. All these techniques and skills will be very useful to them in the future. In other words, the pavilion is also a unique artifact. Combat artifacts that make everything more convenient to use. Alex said it was very convenient, but players would have to spend a lot of soul coins here to learn anything. Even with the necessary skills and coins, it is impossible to master it. Alex finally decided to do a second renovation. To begin with, they will divide the classes into 3 categories. Then the 3 zones will be divided into 5 more subclass zones. In addition, parallel spaces will be created. The hero said that the pavilion looked more like separate servers. The girl said that after the notification, a wave of mage players flocked there. They shouted that their class had been completely ignored before. The players burst into tears from such a celebration. Chris said that the magicians used to be angry. After this, the heroes headed to the portal to continue improving the game. At this time, the server received a notification that the area in which the player had figured out was available for teleportation. Alex said it pained him that the teleportation system had cost him so much. Thanks to the Rune Warrior, the berserkers began to leave the regions of the dead. By releasing updates, the heroes will recoup the costs of teleportation. It won't be free, everyone will have to pay 1 coin. Next, they will add a live broadcast function. Chris suggested that the hero charge a fee for any attribute that dropped. At this time, something started working at some research base. They developed virtual gaming warehouses. The CEO said that they had received good news. They are going to put the stock on the market first. Then an assistant arrived and told us that a virtual warehouse had been created. After that, she turned on the broadcast on the screen. The company immediately realized that it was all over. Their chance was lost. Alex and Chris also watched this. At this time, Kaiser called Alex and said that representatives of this platform would arrive the next day. Chris said that the addition of the warehouse allows players to progress faster. The next day, Kaiser was informed that they could begin the meeting. The representative asked the director if they were waiting for someone. All this time he was waiting for Alex. When time was running out, the hero and Chris arrived at the hall. The Kaiser asked him why he hadn't said that he would come with his sister, since he hadn't prepared a place for her. A moment later, the heroes sat down on the same chair. The director said that everyone was assembled and they could begin. After that, Alice began to talk about her company. Her company created a virtual warehouse. After an hour of the girls' stories, Chris fell asleep on the hero's shoulder. Alice said that they should be paid 20% annually. Representatives of Kaiser's company were shocked by this rate. They said they were interested in the project, but it was too expensive. The girl replied that everyone knew about the influence of their company. Alex told her that he was not interested and refused. Alice thought that the hero did not understand her, and everyone else began asking each other about him. Then Chris woke up and said that she couldn't ask for so much money. The Kaiser also told him that these were commercial matters. Alice told the guy to think it over carefully. The hero stood his ground and said that his sister had said everything. It's kind of an injustice to their game, and they left. Sometime later, on a live broadcast in the game, Henry was about to kill a powerful beast. Chris was curious how the guy would be able to tame this wolf. Then the guy showed a wolf tied to a tree. He was close to success, and was going to deal with this monster as soon as possible. At some point, a demonic aura appeared next to them. From this aura, the monster's body was dried out to a skeletal state. This was done by a recently appeared demon. The next moment, the players' bodies and weapons were shackled. They didn't understand what this dark fog was that prevented them from breaking free. He ordered to answer his questions. The demon asked the people where they came from and why the ghost commander died. As soon as the guy tried to object, the vine began to bind him even more tightly. They immediately remembered the ghost they had recently killed. The demon didn't understand how they were able to kill with their powers. Henry didn't understand why a simple monster screamed so loudly. They began to threaten him that if he killed them, they would return when they became stronger. The demon began to threaten them with his power and introduced himself. He began to penetrate the players' bodies with his vines. Here the monster couldn't do anything, as if some powerful force was protecting their souls. In that case, he will destroy their bodies and see where the souls go. A moment later, the players' bodies were pierced by huge needles. Here again, he did not understand how they disappeared without the slightest influx of soul power. They do not comply with any laws at all. Another team appeared from behind him and mistook the demon for a mysterious merchant. The team leader recalled stories related to this merchant that were on the forum. By finding this character, they will become rich. A moment later, the players approached him and wanted to know what he was selling. They wanted to look at his rare goods. Here, the demon himself began to ask if they knew the details of the death of the ghost commander. The team encountered something like this for the first time, and thought that they needed to appease him first. The demon did not understand what kind of nonsense they were talking and was going to kill them. The same thing happened here. Bodies and souls inexplicably disappeared. Although it was unlikely, he decided to check it out for himself. At this time, the heroes learned about what was happening in the game, and Alex asked about the origin of the messenger. The girl replied that this was the highest position of the king and general of ghosts. Each king and general is assigned an envoy. This system is similar to money. Most cannot collect the soul. The soul can be used to create weapons and equipment. A large-scale war took place in the main city. Chris said that he could disappear into the shadows at any moment, and that he was difficult to kill. Suddenly, the heroes learned that the messenger who crosses souls had arrived in the abode of the dead. At this time in the game, the demon did not understand how it was possible that the capital, which had been destroyed, was suddenly restored. He saw the death of the prince with his own eyes. Suddenly, the former prince appeared behind him. The prince became very angry at the demon, and rage appeared in his eyes. The next moment, he bowed his head to his master. He began to confess his sins and begged for mercy. Alex said that death was too easy for such a traitor. Chris was hiding nearby and was unable to properly recognize Alex. The demon said that he was ready to help the prince regain all his lost territories and glory. Here the messenger said that Alex was not a real prince. The hero replied that the ghost commander had been killed by his men, and the demon would be next. The next moment, a powerful column of energy fell on Alex. The hero said that he could not defeat him. Then the hero appeared in his normal form, and said that the blood of the prince flowed in his body, and that he was destined to inherit the land. A moment later, Chris grabbed the guy's hand and said that he had already deceived him once, and that he would not fall for it again. The demon could not believe that the blood of the great prince actually flowed in the hero's veins. The prince said that he was giving the envoy a choice: he could either surrender or die. Here the man asked about the ruler's subordinates. He said that even if these players are destroyed, their souls will not go anywhere. The prince asked for the last time whether he was surrendering or dying. After these words, the messenger knelt down and said that he obeyed. After some time, the demon returned to the general from reconnaissance. He asked his subordinate if the cause of death of the third ghost had been identified. He also showed the master the remnant of the tree demon. The general replied that the tree demon lacked territory. He sent a man to the Sea King and asked him to remind him that he had previously offered him a sacrifice. That same night, Chris asked Alex what he was doing so late. The guy replied that recently players asked to open a new platform, but they can't do it. Then Chris remembered that she was interested in the Soul Messenger. Alex showed the girl a broadcast where the players were by the Green Sea. At some point, the Sea King appeared from the water. Moments later, he attacked the players. He demanded the appearance of the demon general. The monster responded and asked why the Sea King had come. The general became angry because the Tsar began to become arrogant in his opinion. Alex watched them and realized that they themselves were already confused. Chris said he was creepy, and she didn't really understand it yet, but he would be treated cruelly. The general said that the Sea King had entered his territory too provocatively. The ruler replied that if the prince were here, everything would be different. Lux said he would fry and get rid of the attackers. Here the Sea King said that the general dared to refuse his offer. It was high time to prepare for battle. The demon hoped that the messenger would agree to the Sea King's proposal. Lux began to tell the Sea King that there was a misunderstanding between them. The ruler replied that it was too late to regret. The next moment, a tsunami arose from behind the king and headed towards the enemies. The general said that he agreed to sacrifice 100,000 souls to him annually. The Sea King was indignant that he dared to tease him. The demon also began to attack and increased in size. The Sea King repelled the attack and threw the monster aside. He was surprised by such power, as it turned out that there was a big difference in strength between him and the Sea King. It seems that before he can break through the Ghost King's realm, he needs to endure everything. The king said that the demon had sent a messenger to make him refuse his offer. Then he remembered his messenger and realized that he wanted to die. The king began to laugh at him because he did not get along with his subordinates. Lux replied that he personally told him that he accepted his offer. The Sea King accepted it and said that the souls must be erased. The demon replied that he accepted his offer. He'd better go back and train his subordinates. The general said that he would not tolerate such insolence from the envoy. After this, Chris said that this is why Alex saved the messenger's life. In fact, Alex wanted them to hurt each other, but in the end only one side suffered. Chris said that the Sea King fought with the prince several times. They fought with each other many times. The Sea King is very strong, but not that strong. Alex said that even if he couldn't defeat the prince, he easily defeated Lux. The main ruler of the sea is a monster that is so powerful that it inspires fear. Alex was surprised that even his ancestor was not his equal. Here Chris asked the guy to wait until the region was captured. The girl had already thought about this, but first she had to sort out the library. Somewhere under the water there is a sunken ship. A ghost ship is a ship that can only absorb spiritual materials. When it comes time to get the design blueprints, Alex can make the initial ghost ship. They will be able to begin developing a plan for the simultaneous development of land and sea. When the hero heard how much was needed for the repairs, he became scared. The girl suggested the guy open an auction house, where players would have an easier time finding materials, and they will charge a percentage of each payment. The next day, Chris woke up the hero with a knife in his hands. He was obviously scared by this. The girl said that it was a relic of her clan, and it was found by a player. This is the clan's weapon. I always considered the possibility of joining this clan to become an assassin. The clan of the ancestral curse was once powerful. They say that their clan was connected to hell. Each of their people is a natural-born killer. At one time, the clan killed everyone indiscriminately, but they were soon stopped. Chris has no idea who put the dagger up for sale, but she got it for cheap. They have to go to hell to post ads. After some time, a new class was added to the game. He can summon a Night Ripper, which becomes a guardian. The second one can call upon Abby, who also becomes a guardian. One of the three extreme paths is the embodiment of a sage. Practitioners of curses can master 18 demonic forms in the Hell realm. Assassin players are completely indifferent to other methods of advancement. At this stage, the change function is already in full swing. Chris revealed that the spirit room was used by the prince to store defeated generals and souls. Among these heroic spirits there are very talented warriors. They will be able to launch several random tasks, and after the player completes them, they will be able to obtain the power of inheritance. At this time, the company was saying that they were still one step behind. The assistant said that according to the news, there is a more powerful game manufacturer. The director asked to talk to them and see if they could achieve cooperation. At home, Alex said that the game had too many features that they could expand. Chris said that soul coins are growing quickly. Then Alex received a call from the company offering him cooperation. The hero said that Kaiser had already mentioned something like that. Then the director picked up the phone and suggested the same thing. The virtual gaming warehouse promotes player stability and growth. The hero saw that someone popular was broadcasting. He ended up in some closed location. When a spirit beast's life comes to an end, it seeks a secluded place to leave its legacy. The guy said that he had been sitting in the grave for more than an hour. He said that the man who built this pit was a monster. Chris suggested that Alex watch him. Here the player tried to touch the wall and got hurt. His palm is stuck to the wall and can't get it out. But when he saw the deer spirit, his health points began to increase. Throughout the game, it was announced that Edward had received a new specialty. A cocoon appeared around his body and enveloped him. And then there was an explosion. Once the smoke from the explosion cleared, it turned out that the player had turned into a dog. People watching his broadcast started laughing at him. After that, the dog climbed up the walls. Alex said that he uses a combat artifact. Edward thought he was safe and thought about what he could do with his new profession. The next moment, a net fell on him. A crowd of players immediately pounced on him. The team decided that he needed to be tied up anyway. It would be difficult with a wolf. One of the team members said that despite its ridiculous appearance, the monster remains a monster. He said that the girl should try to instill fear in him. The girl with the creepy face said that she understood him. The dog realized that he was in a dangerous situation. At this time, Alice was talking on the phone about Alex's game. She was told that the hero had agreed to cooperate with the Black Sea Company. She ordered that the country's headquarters be notified so that the game could be blocked. At this time, Alex asked Chris what happened to Edward. After some time, a demon ambassador arrived to Alex. He said that he followed his wishes and returned to Lux, tricked him with the branches of the tree demon. Then Lux asked him to go to the Sea Lord. Then the hero asked to convey to him what he asked for. After this, the man bowed and said that he had been exposed. Chris said that the thing they were given was quite useful and helped not only the Sea Lord. Then the prince praised the demon and was about to give him a gift. Alex began to manipulate spiritual power and increased his power. Unlike players, making a man bigger is not that difficult. Chris said that for the hero it is easy, but for him it is not. After this, the prince said that there was one more task for his subordinate. He ordered him to find refuge in the rock of the Ghost King. The man thought he had been sentenced to life imprisonment. The hero said that he wanted him to find out about the relationship between the Rock Lord and General Lux. He needs to take the pearls as a gift. Alex said he had originally planned to return the pearls. Chris replied that teleportation could only be created with the power of the soul, and that sacrifices were needed to take a step forward. This kind of special zone could become a copy of the game they always wanted to create. The sacrifices required for the construction amount to 150,000 spirits. The hellish path itself is a forbidden zone. The heroes wanted to start construction right away. But first, Alex needs to release all the spirits from the combat artifact. The next moment, the guy's aura rushed into the sky. To begin, Chris drew the patterns of the sacrifice. Here, Alex realized that Chris could sacrifice herself, but even she should have a sense of proportion. As soon as the situation becomes suspicious, Alex will call everything off. At some point, red hands emerged from behind the hero's back. The hero asked the girl what was happening to this hand. Chris replied that this is one of the oldest gods of the underworld. Even though he is dead, he was once the supreme being. The next moment, these hands opened a passage in the ground. The girl said that passing would not lead to success because he is a god. The hero realized that they would have to turn to him in the future. The girl said that she had never been on the hellish path and really wanted to go and see. She is going to hide her identity to join the team of players. An announcement about the new feature being launched was made throughout the server. 30 people gathered at the opened hellish path. A moment later, they had already teleported. As it turned out, Chris had blended into the crowd and teleported away. When they got to the hellish area, some of them started to get crippled. Jesse ordered them not to touch anything and to move forward in groups. They also found a cave behind the lava wall. Inside the cave, everything was different. It was hot outside, but very cold inside. Jesse said that this cave was gloomy, but she was the guild leader and shouldn't lose face. Suddenly she heard something and got scared. It was her brother who scared her. The guy told the girl not to be afraid of anything, and she replied that she was only afraid of what he was doing. Jacob told his sister that there were treasures in these tombs. After some time, the team got tired of trying to destroy the sarcophagus for so long. Chris said the touchscreen has become more advanced. The others heard this and looked at the girl in surprise. They decided that their only option was to give up, remember the location, and wait. Then one of the team said that she found something. They found a jug that was similar to those buried in their village. Jessie said that since they can't open them now, Chris was watching them from around the corner and wanted to take the jug for herself. She used the ring and absorbed the jug. When they came out of the cave, they heard screams. Players were running from below, asking for help. One of them had a scaly egg in his hands. A fire-breathing dragon was flying after this egg. Jessie said that they need to get into the cave quickly. They can't handle the boss. When all the players got into the cave, the dragon also tried, but got stuck. After this, Jessie ordered that the egg be given to her. The guy told her that the dragon egg cannot be taken into personal space. Without listening to him, the girl pierced his body with her dagger. Jessie realized that the egg really couldn't be taken into her personal space. Chris said that the dragon egg would hatch soon, and she wanted to help him do it. A moment later, a small dragon hatched from the egg. It was announced throughout the server that Jessie had received a personal pet. Jacob told her that she was lucky and wanted to see the pet's characteristics. The girl said that it looks weak and that it takes time to cultivate. She decided that she still had time to raise him. After some time, a portal opened in Alex's room. Chris jumped out of it and started asking about the dragon egg. The pets are in a baby state. If it were a large dragon, the girl would not be able to seal it. The fire dragon will be like a spirit beast, but for now, it only has a middle rank. Here, Alex praised the girl and patted her on the head. Conflicts between different player forces are now becoming more frequent. Alex also thought about this. It was unrealistic for them to completely unite. His idea is to build a huge battlefield. A flag will be placed in the center of the city, and players will need to capture it. This is a large-scale competition for power. Even if Alex can transform the energy and create a city, it will be difficult. The hero agreed with her, which is why the event is in the preparation stage. He also said that they had accumulated 200,000, so they could begin construction. At this time, the game released an update with a new class. Alex asked Chris why he should choose this particular spirit. Sunny Shooter was once the #1 shooter when the prince was on the throne. However, in the battle to destroy the clan, the order was to attack the shooter and kill him. The death of the shooter greatly saddened the prince. He was helpless, and eventually managed to place his soul in the spirit chamber. Alex said that the past is in the past. To use the greatest power inherited from the shooter, the player must master the entity. Since their game is not just a game, but the real world, shooting is not something that everyone can master. Alex said he used the artifact to build a training field. The next day, many players arrived at the training field. Jacob also arrived there and realized that he only needed to fire a couple of arrows. He came for fun, but even hit the core. All his arrows hit their target. The guy thought he was a natural-born shooter. Here, Chris said that players had to pay 200 coins to participate. The player with the new class launched a powerful arrow into the sky. After this, a powerful column of energy burst into the sky. Jacob said he just changed his major and gained 3 skills. He used them but missed the target. This made him confused, and he decided to take the matter seriously. The next shot also missed. All subsequent ones were also missed. The guy realized he had a very serious problem. He was out of arrows. People around him started laughing at him. But then the guy remembered that he was originally a killer and he had a sword. As it turned out, the system did not allow him to return to his old profession because a new one had already been chosen. He thought that at that moment he finally realized how good he was. Somewhere in the demon region, Lux was destroying mountains. He did this out of rage that his messenger had betrayed him and forced him to humiliate himself before the Sea King. Here he was told that at the moment, there would be problems with catching the traitor. The Soul Messenger said that the demon hid in the Ghost Lord's rock. He escaped and took all of Lux's spirits. Not long ago, he personally promised to pay the Sea Lord a sacrifice. On one side is the Sea Lord, and on the other is the Lord of the Ghost Rock. The demon region is hemmed in by the Sea King and the Rock Lord. The girl suggested changing their camp and waiting for Lux to make a breakthrough. Once they make a breakthrough, he will be able to rule over all the prince's lands. Lux said he hoped everything would end well and would return in 10 days. At this time in the real world, there was talk of 2 guilds clashing in battle. They told of a swordsman who was astonishing in his strength. Suddenly, the man who was sitting on the ground jumped up and started asking about the fencers. He needed to know where he was. The guys replied that they saw him in the game. They called him crazy and he left. At this time, at home, Chris asked Alex what he was doing. The guy replied that to make the gameplay more intense, he made several monsters. In the end, the key to fulfilling the prince's last wish. Then Kaiser called the hero and congratulated him on completing the best game tournament. The director reminded the guy about the soundtracks. Alex replied that he knew several celebrities who would not mind having the melody covered. Then the guy told Chris that if he could write music, he would do it himself. The girl said that they would have to hire special people and it would be expensive. At this time, some strange duel was taking place in the game. A level 0 player decided to challenge the Berserker. Berserker suggested that the guy talk about it first. The swordsman said that a true warrior will not refuse a battle. The guy replied that he shouldn't have talked to him like that. The next moment, a serious battle began. The Berserker was surprised that the swordsman had struck a dozen blows in an instant. If it weren't for the high level, he would already be dead. Initially, he planned to take pity on the man and not use his skills. A moment later, the boy attacked the swordsman with powerful attacks. Chris said she made sure the spirit room was where the inheritance was kept. The swordsman said that swordsmanship was too ordinary. Here he saw 10 magic swords. The hero asked Chris what was going on. The girl replied that since the player had already inherited the heroic spirit, they could use the connection. After some time, the man fought with a stronger player. Then, in a duel with his father, he accidentally killed him. To take revenge, the man diligently practices fencing. He became charged with rage and attacked more seriously. The guy defended himself from the barrage of blows with the help of a shield. In response, he delivered only one powerful blow. The blow sent the swordsman flying and left him in shock. Alex said he and the heroic spirit had a similar past. It's probably because he's very strong on his own, but the swordsman has practiced in reality. The underworld exists in reality, so it is impossible to improve in reality. Now, due to a serious leak of spirits, the era of decline has long since begun. Alex underestimates the artifact too much. It is the prince's life energy, no matter how they check it. The hero replied that he might actually become a target for all these cultivators. Chris said that the guy was too worried. But in reality, it wasn't a bad thing for them that cultivators had become players. The player's soul is already marked with the artifact's sign. This is also a very important point in the prince's plan, which he was guided by. But according to Chris, if the hero really does this, he will be able to rule the world. Suddenly, Alex wanted to ask the girl about her past. She took part in the research and development of the artifact. The hero said that he was not putting her in a difficult position, and that she did not have to answer. Chris admitted that no one except Alex had been so gentle with her. This made the girl burst into tears and throw herself into the hero's arms. After some time, it turns out Alex chose the prize for the song collection. The guy is confident that players will definitely choose soul coins. After reading the comments on the forum, the hero felt like a villain. At this time, at the music university, Eddie came to his friends and asked for a favor. He wrote a song and asked to improve it. They heard that he had been into Alex's game lately. The guy replied that he was writing it specifically for the game and asked for help anyway. A moment later, the whole group was singing Eddie's new song. After some time, Alex was listening to a new song while going about his business. Then Chris came and asked what kind of song it was. The hero replied that it was written for the game. He chose 2 other songs, but the girl wanted to choose the first one. At this time, in the mountains, the man received a call asking why he had not logged into the game. The man replied that his father said that he used to be an ordinary athlete. The mountain he climbed had an impressive view. Suddenly, a monk appeared, who said that he had been waiting for him. Looking at him, he thought that he was no more than 20. But this was not so. He said that in the year when his self-improvement almost got out of his control, Father Henry showed up. Then he told him that he would help him twice. The boy said that his father considered him completely untalented. He looked around the house and was surprised that there was no food or clothing in this small room. Philip said that Henry's character was very different from that of his father. A man can use a rare technique to pray for him and increase his wealth. He decided to fulfill his wish and give his blessing. The next moment, the room changed landscape. The boy said he didn't believe his father when he told stories. Philip used the method of appealing to other forces. After this, several snake spirits appeared in the room. The guy recognized these snakes that were from the game. The next moment, the monk created a small star. These were indeed spirits from the game. Philip said that the spell was complete. After that, he sent Henry back. From now on, they were just passers-by. When the boy asked about virtual projection equipment, the monk didn't understand what he was talking about. Henry said that the man couldn't fool him, because he had just summoned spirits from the game. Philip said that he didn't understand what he was talking about. The guy said that he even knows about dark strongmen and iron corpses. The monk said he knew this because he was the descendant of devilish luck. Henry said how could he not know? He was completely sure that it was all part of a game. When he realized that he would not receive an answer, he was about to leave. Philip thought that after he finished he would be able to continue his seclusion and go into meditation. After some time, Philip called his grandson. The man's assistant handed him the phone. He asked his grandfather where he got the free time to call his grandson. Philip asked him to find out about Alex's game, and he said that he would come to see him in a few days to try it out. When the conversation ended, the man realized what had just happened. When everyone thought the monk had gone missing, he simply appeared. It was with his help that he was able to create a large business. A few days later, Chris told Alex that another cultivator had registered in the game. The hero thought about the fact that people can move between the real world and the underground one. The girl said that it was impossible to exist with depleted strength, and the immortal beings have already died long ago. After some time, Philip got into the game. He realized that this game was created based on the underworld. The man chose the magician class upon entering. He also finally saw the dark strongman with his own eyes. When Philip left the game, he was very surprised. All this time, there was a huge number of subordinates in his room. The monk ordered to check the owner of this game. 3 days later, the subordinates returned with the necessary information. They said that there is no disclosed information about the developers. Although they haven't figured out anything yet, they have discovered something strange. The next moment, the monk summoned the warrior of darkness. His grandson was delighted and called it amazing. Philip said that this is not what he wanted to show. He showed magic. Ordinary people, even if they played the game, will not be able to use magic in the real world. The game owner the man was checking was just a front. Behind him was a cultivator. The monk fears that the power of the man behind this has already reached the underworld. He is able to travel between worlds. The grandson said that his grandfather had seen through all the details. After that, Philip told him to buy soul coins in the game. The man realized that the end of his cultivation had come because of his passion for the game. Having lived for more than 100 years, the monk achieved deep understanding. Only by investing money can you increase your level in the game. A short time later, the man met the dark strongman they were talking about on the forum. Suddenly, some player wanted to kill the monster himself to get a reward. When he wanted to object, the man immediately took out his weapon. Philip said that he seemed to have received the possession of the sword as a certain inheritance. He said that on the forum they say that you have to fight for the monster. The player responded by using his skill. Their forces clashed. Summoned monsters were sent towards the man and he killed them. He said that the summoned warriors were quite strange, completely different from ordinary warriors. Each of them has their own tactics. The player asked the monk if he was a cultivator. The man said that if he guessed correctly, except for the sword, the guy would use sword tactics. There will be no winner or loser among them. The player said that the monk had too high an opinion of himself and jumped on him. Philip's movements were completely blocked. After this, the man died. At this time, Chris said that resonant vibrations began in the spirit room. Another heir awakened. The heroes wondered who the new awakened one was. Sometime later, Valentine's Day came. Chris wanted to buy his friend new clothes for the holiday. Besides, this holiday is really not very oriented towards singles. Suddenly, the guy asked the girl why the awakened hero wasn't developing. The girl replied that at the moment the player died, the soul left the game. Because the soul left, the inheritance ceased. Then Alex asked if a person with a strong soul could protect her. The girl said she couldn't say for sure. Chris mentioned the higher law, and the hero wondered why his ancestor was so closely connected to it. And who is Chris really and why does he know so much? As a result, after this, the guy offered to buy new clothes. Suddenly, Chris felt something strange. She said that they needed to return home urgently. At this time, Lux came into the game. At some location, several players were moving and heard something. They saw a huge army of ghostly soldiers approaching them. The players were afraid that they would have to bathe in blood. After some time, Lux's messenger captured those players and brought them to the master. She said she brought them in for personal questioning. The demon began to ask them who they were. The players immediately began to threaten that they were the prince's descendants. The messenger hit them for such insolence. The guys didn't like this and started making threats. In response to this, she hit them in the face again. In the end, Lux ordered the girl to kill the players, and they tensed up. Chris told the hero that there were few players in the game, and the demon army appeared suddenly. Alex replied that there was no need to worry when she told him about the army's invasion. He had already prepared everything. Lux said that since they moved, it was their territory. Suddenly, he sensed a group of travelers that was superior to his army. The messenger told him that there was no way to return to their area either, and that the travelers were superior to them. At this time, Kaiser called on players to fight the demon. Alex organized it, created a post on the forum and called on the players. The director stood at the head of a huge army of players. Lux ordered to kill everyone and leave no one behind. Felix asked the man what they should do, because there were too many soldiers. Seeing a group of players die must have caused their morale to drop. The demon said he would satisfy their madness. His messenger said that people were not worthy of being killed by the general personally. He said that their army could suffer if this was not addressed. The next moment, the general struck the ground and broke the crowd. Chris said that given the strength of the players, it would be difficult for them to defeat the army. Alex replied that if everything went as he planned, there would be more reinforcements. After this, he received requests for reinforcements. Alex accepted all the requests at once. The girl said that the reinforcements are non-player characters. Lux said the players were too weak and he was fed up. Then Charlie appeared, defending himself from the general's breath with a shield. The rest of the characters appeared along with him. Their fighting spirit was very high. They were able and willing to fight. The demon didn't know who it was, but he attacked anyway, because they stood against him. Charlie said they couldn't resist. His shield was gradually breaking. The next moment, the battlefield was blown up. Chris said that while the hero added mental strength to the characters, their skills were limited. The outcome of the battle is not yet decided. Charlie and the others did not die in vain. After the characters were defeated, the system started talking about them. For them, this is not an easy game, and they are friends of the players. At this time, one of the players received a notification about a battle in the game. Jesse also got it while at karaoke. The captain of the strongest team also received it while he was in the bar. After that, they all got ready and headed home. Jasper began calling his comrades to come into the game. Jessie gathered her team with her brother and went into battle. Harry also called all his comrades and headed into battle. The player army has returned to battle. The general didn't understand where the next bunch of strangers came from. Due to the lack of resources, his troops would not be strengthened, which is why he decided to move the base. He ordered the drums to beat and sent everyone into battle. The heroes realized that this was his way of raising the warriors' morale, and Alex said that he could do the same. Kaiser heard the game's new theme song for the first time. The players had no strength at all, but they began to counterattack. Lux was very angry that his troops could not advance. Then Jessie appeared, leading her team into the attack. Lux learned that this bunch of weak players had mastered a powerful technique. A guy who was going to fight the demon with his fists also joined the fight. The monster was slammed into the ground by the impact. The general recognized this style and asked what connected the guy with this style. At this time, Lux watched as people killed his army. Then a swordsman appeared and created swords next to him. The ground around the generals exploded from the blows of the swords. After such antics, the monster was already waiting for the prince's arrival. Philip also appeared, summoning his shadow monsters. Among the crowd of players, there was one who awakened a secret class. He flew in the middle of the field and healed his comrades. The Kaiser continued to urge his warriors to continue the attack. 4 days later, the army of monsters was almost completely defeated. Lux's messenger said they were losing. Here he decided to retreat. While the general and the monsters retreated, the players followed them. 8 hours later, Lux had nowhere to retreat. The monster's subordinate did not understand what kind of monsters these were. Such a brutal people could not exist. The general thought that if he killed some of them, the others would fall into terror. Suddenly, he heard the players starting to approach. He stood on the mountainside and shook with fear. The unofficial leaders boosted the morale of the human army in order to quickly kill the monster. The subordinate said that they would soon suffer complete defeat. Here Lux decided to abandon his army and assistant to escape. People stepped on the abandoned girl to pursue the general. The same player tried to hit again, but Lux killed him. This irritated the general, and he could not leave peacefully. At some point, his limbs were pierced by swords. The swordsman summoned a spirit and tried to kill the monster. The demon wasn't going to die that easily. The next moment, the slope was blown up. When the dust settled, Lux was lying on the ground and trying to get up. His strength was almost exhausted. He decided to jump from the slope into the water to escape. After that, he flew into the sky and threw people away with the wind. The Kaiser was afraid that the monster might escape. Suddenly, Jacob appeared on the mountain and began to use his new skills. It irritated him that the players laughed at him, calling his shooting style terrible. With one shot, he made a huge hole in the general's body. Seeing that his shot had hit the target, he began to rejoice. And finally, the demon general was killed. People started to rejoice at this, and their levels started to rise. Chris was also happy and jumped into Alex's arms. As a reward for killing the boss, people received a book with the history of the underworld. At this time, the players continued to celebrate their victory. Sometime later, Chris found Alex standing on the slope. The girl said that the players were celebrating at that time. They also built a grave for NPCs. Alex said that even if they bring them back to life, they will be newly created characters. They will restore the characters' souls and simply introduce them into the game with new personalities. After some time, special items were added to the game store. New ships were also added to the game. There were several types of them. In addition, new rare materials have been added. Along with this, a new location was added. New natural disasters have appeared at sea. New characters were added to replace the old ones. Chris said there has been a lot of positive feedback since the trailer was released. After that, Alex said that they needed to go and shoot a commercial. At this time, one of the new ships was sailing through a new location. A huge kraken appeared towards him. Alex said he was leaving it to the big spirit. After this, A huge blue whale spirit went into the sky. He headed towards the crowd of monsters and killed them. Alex decided to donate these resources from the monsters to feed the whale. When the hero returned home, he said that after the war with Lux, they had a lot of soul coins. He also remembered that Chris had added fishing items to the store. The girl replied that this was done in order to bring in a lot of fishing players. Alex said that this time they have two main lines of the expedition. The devil is still a problem. Chris said that a player appeared who went fishing. This player was creating his own ships, and Alex was outraged that they could lose a lot of money because of this. These players stood on the seashore and broadcast. The observers called this raft very bad. Chris said that the guy was worried for nothing, because two players had just decided to go out to sea. The hero replied that the sea contains a huge number of dangers. After some time, one of the players caught his first fish. The comments started discussing the size of the fish. 5 hours later, they were still fighting the fish. Seeing nothing, Alex decided to return home. Suddenly, Chris felt something big approaching. It was one of the rarest fish to be added to the game. The girl said she didn't mean this fish. At some point, the players felt that the sea had become surprisingly calm. The next moment, something large began to rise from the water. It was a huge monster. Commenters on the broadcast expressed surprise at such a huge monster. Alex was also surprised that the Sea Lord suddenly appeared. Chris replied that it was just a coincidence, as he lived tens of thousands of meters underwater all year round. There is a discussion on the forum about some player finding a rare item. At this time in the mountains, the Mountain Lord was told of Lux's death. His subordinates said that their subordinates had conducted an investigation. At the time when they were dividing the territories, the ruler gave the area to Lux. He didn't expect the demon to die. The subordinate asked whether it was necessary to declare war on the abode of the dead. Scala replied that it was unknown where the strangers came from. But then he assumed that they would start attacking themselves. The Lord began to laugh in response and say that the demon general was an idiot. Here his subordinate trees appeared. No one in the mountainous territories will dare to resist him. In response, the master said that the monster was just sucking up. He wanted to hear more about how things were going. Here he said that his patience had run out and he lacked respect. A few days later, Chris said that sales had increased over the past few days. Each ship brought its own amount of money. Now Alex has decided to announce a mission to go to sea. The first one should be a fishing competition. Each fish is worth a certain number of points, and the rarest fish gives an instant victory in the competition. On the second day, the search for competitions begins. There is a special table of items for rewards. On the third day, prices in the store begin to fall. Chris said the events would be a tough test for players. Players need to calmly kill monsters and spend soul coins. Then Chris said that something was happening in the underworld. At the entrance to the Ghost Mountains, a group of players met a clan of forest spirits. It was a rare race that had some abilities. Harry asked them why they came, if they knew that this was the prince's territory. One of them said that the prince's army had long been defeated. Harry began to threaten with his sword, and repeated his questions again. The man replied that they were highly approved by the prince as a clan of doctors. After the death of the prince, their clan was locked in the mountain area. The guy didn't believe him and began to accuse and suspect. Alex said that the Forest Spirit clan is telling the truth. At least the situation that was reported to him matches. At this time, Chris was thinking about something. The girl said that the prince's loyal forces were crushed by traitorous troops. The hero began to calm her down. He said that the clan could be trusted. Chris said that they have weak abilities, but they have the power of healing and quick recovery. This clan has always resisted subjugation. Harry's comrades said it was better to be on the safe side. They were just a bunch of characters anyway. The guy reassured them. Even though they said they were his own, he couldn't trust them so easily. The leader of the spirits thought to himself that they had served the prince for so many years, and had never seen this power with their own eyes. At this time, in the abode of the dead, someone was loudly surprised. The game character who was in the main castle roared from meeting the druids. The spirit clan naturally doesn't know him, and doesn't understand his reaction. Harry said that since they are ours, then there are no problems with the rest of the characters. The players were serious about resurrecting the prince. The druids were surprised that people boasted so energetically. The heroes saw that the players were getting along with the druids. After the artifact received an oath of allegiance from the Forest Spirit clan, it slightly altered their memory. The clan will soon be able to integrate into the player community. Alex set up a defense and called it the intimacy level. And when the level of intimacy reaches its maximum, they will be able to engage in more intimate activities. The guy decided that he needed to organize a place for them to live. In the haunted mountains, Jesse and his brother hunted monsters. Some druids became attached to Jacob and asked him not to die. The boy asked his sister to help him. He needed to die quickly. The girl killed her brother without a shadow of a doubt. A few days later, the relatives returned to the mountains to hunt. Jacob tried to attack the biggest monster, but he didn't succeed because the monster threw him back. The boy asked the druid to help him and heal him. The elf replied that Jacob would still be resurrected in a couple of hours. With such a wound, he could no longer be saved. Everyone kept suggesting that the guy should just die. After that, the girl flew away. The heroes observed this and realized that all living beings change under the influence of society. Then Alex felt something. After this, a huge clock appeared in the sky. This clock notified players that the event was about to begin. In honor of this, fireworks thundered in the sky. Alex said the clock in the sky was a countdown clock designed by Chris. At this time, the awakened player was catching jumping fish. One of the players was sitting on the shore and fishing at this time. At some point his hand shook and he realized that the fish was caught. This fish turned out to have a dragon's head, and the guy was very surprised. Because of this, he was promoted to European Emperor. 10 minutes later, the guy was sitting on the shore and frying this fish. When he tried the cooked fish meat, he liked it very much. Alex said that this player did not sell special fish, but cooked it. Chris also managed to catch some fish and is already eating it. The next day, Alex announced the start of a new event. The New Year's treasure hunt event has begun. Philip prepared for this event and summoned his monsters. He ordered them to look for red envelopes and catch them. Looking at Philip, the players began to get indignant. The rest of the players followed him. The druids observed this and said that fishing was still understandable, but this event was some kind of madness. The little elf approached the leader of the druids and asked if they were fools. The man replied that they needed to be respected, and the girl decided to go play with them. 6 hours later, the event ended, and the system showed the winners. All these tickets were accepted by a new character, who had a huge crowd of players crowding around him. There was talk among the players that 300 coupons could be exchanged for a new profession. The winner was Philip, who began to be accused of cheating. Because of the victory, the man discovered a hidden ability. He could also summon various forms of ghosts. At some point, the ground beneath his feet fell apart. He could also mobilize the power of the ghost beast in his body. Philip learned the third ability. The next day, discounts appeared in the store. Chris said the event had just started, and almost all the items were sold out. She also proposed releasing a preview of the pre-scheduled auction. When the girl said that a player appeared on the Cliff of Despair, Alex was surprised. It was the awakened player and his team. Chris and Alex watched them from some slope. Eventually, the team reached some wooden house where an old man lived. He told the players a long story about the prince. The old man said that he was a descendant of the king. As proof of his identity, he produced a stone statue of a lion. The dog said that the character was a descendant of the first king, but for some reason his seal had not expired. The old man said that his ancestor was the founder of the lands, and the Cliff of Despair is just a horn on the head of an evil god. The players said that the prince defeated the evil god and allowed his descendants to guard him for generations. The old man said that even 10 of his ancestors could not defeat the evil god. Although he is sealed, his mind is unstable. Rex said that listening to the description of this old man, the first prince did not seem so powerful. The guy asked if this had anything to do with the difficulty of their climb. The old man replied that if they went up into the mountains, their minds would be corroded. Otherwise, if their body is taken away, it will be a small thing. 8 hours later, the team continued their ascent. The captain encouraged the dog, because they were almost there. At some point, the guy got down on one knee. Suddenly, he grabbed the dog by the throat and it realized that someone had entered into it. After that, he was released and the guy apologized. He said that various scenes instantly appeared in his mind. The dog replied that maybe the old man was right. Here, he suggested that the boss return. At the top of the cliff, Rex suggested taking a few screenshots as a souvenir. Here, a dog was captured on camera marking a rock. He said it was an instinctive reaction and he was very ashamed. After this, the pillar began to glow with a bloody aura. Something hit him in the face when he touched the pole. Rex wanted to check it out for himself and touch it. When he touched it, it felt like his body was shocked by electricity. He began to see a vision of a child swimming in a sea of blood. This child was met by a tall woman who did not understand why he was red. The big man said that no matter what, it was their child. Alex said that the evil god's thoughts are really strange. Chris told him that there was no need to enter the player's mind, and she knew what happened then. The birth of the child foreshadowed disaster, but the king of the giants refused to get rid of him. However, the boy was not sad and continued to live very well. Until the day came when zombies attacked the giant city. A dead man emerged from the flying stone and was about to kill everyone. The boy said that the children who grew up with him were going to the battlefield. The dead man began to demand a source of blood. The king responded by ordering him to fight and not to talk nonsense. Suddenly, a huge stone slab fell on this monster. A huge dead skeleton emerged from it. In one moment, this skeleton burned a huge number of people. At this time, the boy was worried that he could not follow his father and fight. The monster demanded a source of blood. Then a woman stood in front of the boy and began to defend him. She said that she would never leave their tribe because of coercion from outsiders. But when she was killed, the boy began to blame himself. He didn't understand why he was born so weak. The skeleton began to convince the guy that he was insignificant and could not do anything, but he denied it and began to sink with some force. The next moment he turned into a huge, bloody monster. The monster said that he wanted to destroy the skeleton. The next moment he swung his fist and was about to strike. Then Chris appeared and said that the monster could not destroy this world. After this, the monster's attention switched to the girl. A second later, the body of the bloody sea was pierced by a huge rock. Chris said that when the time comes, they will become friends. Alex asked her why she remembered these events so clearly. He thought that they knew each other and demanded to tell him the whole truth. In response to this, the girl began to cry and say that she couldn't. If she told him now, his soul would burst in an instant, because it would not be able to bear the pressure of her secret. The guy didn't believe that it could be so mysterious. At this time, Harry escaped the control of the evil god. He said he was fine, but that strange images had just appeared in his mind. For some reason, when the dog touched the pole, it jumped back, but he was able to see the memory of the evil god. Suddenly, an evil god began to speak in his head. The guy ordered him to speak like a human being, because he didn't understand anything. God said that if Harry did one thing for him, he would give him infinite power. Chris said that the drought demon actually escaped. The hero was worried that since the evil god was so powerful, he could harm the player's soul. He remembered that the old man had said that the 10 descendants of the prince were unable to defeat the evil god. Chris said that she was in debt to this god, and the hero could help her. Then the evil god told where the drought demon was hiding. Harry said that he would not follow his orders because he simply could not defeat him. The next moment his body was consumed. God was surprised that he could not capture the boy's soul. It turns out the guy has an eternal soul. The guy said that he had planned to find a way to help him, but now he had changed his mind. Then God began to look at the dog and he tensed up. He realized that he didn't like him and turned away. The demon asked to borrow the boy's body, and he would return his body to him after killing the drought demon. After this, the player received a random mission. To begin this mission, the two of them must swear allegiance. Alex said that since his friend was in debt to the evil god, he should help her. The girl said that after 3 hours, evil thoughts will be expelled from the player's body. God said he agreed to the contract within 3 hours. All of the guy's stats have been increased. Since Harry is so cool, he thinks he can crush stones with one hand. The player's entire body was covered in the ominous aura of a god. The dog was broadcasting from that place and was very afraid. 2 hours later, the guy landed on the field with the players, looking like a comet. He emerged from the crater and overwhelmed many players with his presence. The guy hit the ground and it cracked into pieces. The players around him didn't understand how much money he had donated to become so strong. The drought demon said that now only one evil thought remained from him. The guy tried to hit him, but the demon stopped his fist. After this, the monster created 8 arms for battle. The demon also summoned skeletal snakes from behind his back. They immediately tied up the body of the huge monster. Chris said that although the evil god was powerful, all that was left of him was a trace of evil thoughts. Alex said he hoped God would get rid of these thoughts after he took revenge. The next moment, the snakes binding the god were snapped. The drought demon does not understand where he gets such power from, because it does not belong to him. A moment later, the god created several seals with his hands and said that the demon was finished. After this, he created a column in his hands. The demon said that he had not hidden for so long to die here. A moment later, a huge cauldron appeared above the opponents. The evil god realized that the cauldron would fall on him too. He couldn't resist the pressure it was putting on him. After this, the cauldron finally fell on the monsters. Alex saw that the evil god and the drought demon were both frightened, and such a powerful god had lost his former strength. The emperor is on equal terms with other emperors who truly possess power. Chris told the hero not to be surprised. The underworld is huge and divided into parts of the world. The boy didn't understand how the evil god was connected to the emperor. The drought demon did not understand why the emperor stopped the evil god. But no matter what, he must take advantage of this opportunity. Chris said that the evil god would lose, but it was impossible to defeat him because he signed a 3-hour contract. After this, Harry saw an announcement in front of him that the oath was being activated. God said he did not want to accept it. A second later, the god left the guy's body, and he found himself on the battlefield, surrounded by skeletal snakes. Having woken up, he immediately began to run away from them. On the cliff of despair, the old man told the evil god to restrain his power. The chains he has bound him with protect him. He cannot get rid of them. God said that he had been waiting for this opportunity for an infinitely long time. The old man said that if not him, who else would come to talk to God? The evil god asked the old man to bring that guy back. He gave him an oath and intends to keep his word. The man was surprised that such a liar was actually going to do this. It was rare to see him asking the old man for help. Meanwhile, Harry and the dog continued to run away from the snakes. At the last moment, the heroes teleported from the battlefield. They found themselves in front of the old man's house and were surprised. The man looked out from behind the door and asked why they had come. Harry ordered the dog to stay here, as he still had some things to do. He said that he had dropped something on the road and was going to return it. After some time, Harry decided that the evil god had simply gone crazy and decided to kill him. The guy realized that he had been misunderstood. After this, Harry received the abilities of an evil god, which he could upgrade. He could also summon hellfire that would burn a large area around him. There is also an ability that can absorb blood around. He has gained an ability that shows targets who are looking at him. Harry didn't understand why God had to destroy his rune profession. Chris said that the guy's profession was removed by an artifact. God asked the boy if he wanted to become stronger, and Harry happily agreed. He gave him a blood seed that the boy could successfully grow within himself. If a guy masters any of the laws of heaven and earth, he will become closer to the gods. Harry responded by saying that he would become the new god. But in the end, he started apologizing for talking so much. The guy said that he would go through fire and water to fulfill his promise to God. After that, the guy received a mission to advance the profession. Although this task is difficult, there is no time limit. The evil god replied that he appreciated his words, and when he controlled Harry's body, he did not find a drop of fear. Ever since the players watched the broadcast of the battle between the evil god and the drought demon, their desire to become stronger has increased. Chris said that Alex is being baited again on the gaming forum. Alex didn't like this news and asked not to say bad words to him. After some time, a new profession appeared in the game. A new character was also added to the game. Alex said he originally planned to release 3 mage templates directly. At this time, a team of players was traveling at sea. The captain's mate saw an island nearby. There was a village on the shore of the island. The village was inhabited by humanoid fishmen who did not look very friendly. After some time, the entire team was defeated by local residents. They were hanging tied up in their underwear. Suddenly, one of the residents came up and brought a bag. Here he took an armful of something and shoved it into the mouth of one of the players. They also continued to beat him, although he continued to eat and eat. The rest also agreed that the fate of being eaten was predetermined in any case. Alex said Chris had already spoken about the possibility of developing the marine zone. After some time, one of the team of players was angry that their team was eaten. After some time, the team gathered again and arrived on the island. They wanted revenge on the fishmen for eating them. The comrades asked the boss to give the order and let the fishmen tribe feel fear. The next moment, the whole team was ready to attack. A second later, the monsters began to blow their horns, calling for reinforcements. After this, the entire team was surrounded by an army of fishmen. Half an hour later, the boys were also hanging tied up. They don't understand why the monsters don't kill them, but just tie them up. The fish people couldn't finish them, so to avoid wasting food, they invited their relatives. After this, the master of the fishmen appeared before the players. They realized that they would be stewed with vegetables again. The monsters started feeding the guys some kind of filling. Another player was surprised that his comrades started fighting over this filling. He asked the captain what profession the players he was looking for were, and whether they were gourmets. After some time, the whole team was in the cauldron and was boiling. Instead of being boiled, they simply evaporated and surprised the fishmen. A few days later, another team found the same island. The monsters began to discuss the new arrival. The player was surprised that so many fishmen came after them. Chris said those players posted on the forum after their unsuccessful revenge. People still keep coming to the island and there is no end to it. Alex said that soon the fishmen tribe won't be able to withstand it. After some time, the monarch of the tribe came to the Sea King. The ruler said that the tribe had no resources. The monarch said that people who came to them disappeared into the fog. This description surprised the Sea King. He ordered one of his subordinates to lead a group of fishmen. A few days later, Alex said it was time for them to help the players a little. At this time, in the monster village, there were huge shrimps and other sea monsters. The big shark didn't like what the shrimp was saying and he hit him. He scolded him for not being able to cope with weaklings. At first, the king sent him here to guard, and he was glad. It was just an army of suicides, and when they came to die, they all smiled and waved politely. At this time, several ships were approaching the island. The big shrimp was surprised that the shark was afraid of them. Not wanting to listen to anything else, the monster jumped into the water. A moment later, the shark destroyed one of the fleet's ships. Then a ship from the strongest team appeared, protected by a shield. The shark failed to penetrate the powerful shield, and he died. The entire team received a buff for killing the monster commander. Alex said that the opportunity for development of the maritime region is good. The guy added that Chris's little tricks are really good. An hour later, all the ships were moored at the island. At this time, at the Sea King's base, the shark bead went out. His father saw this, and the turtle assistant offered him his condolences. The big shark was furious that someone could kill his son. He began to threaten the turtle that his son might die too. When he returned home, his son began to ask what news his father had brought today. The father said that he brought good and bad news. He told that his son became commander-in-chief. At this time, people on the island lit a lot of fires. The fishermen were tied up and very angry because the players had eaten all their spices. People captured a lot of supplies on the island. Suddenly, the captain felt that a big event was approaching. Alex said the size is really amazing. It's a big gift package. A moment later, huge waves appeared. The captain began shouting that everyone needed to prepare for battle. The whole ship was covered with a multitude of small fish. A moment later, one of the ships was destroyed and fell to pieces. The captain was told that the players who fell into the water became easy targets. The main ship itself was surrounded by a magical shield. The shark's father tried to attack the ship and avenge his son. His attack failed. The shield was intact. The monster said that he would not stop until he destroyed people. After these words, he began to throw fiery projectiles. The captain was told that this shark was the chief commander of the Sea King's army. A moment later, the shield was destroyed. The captain ordered to follow him into the water and stop him. After that, the guy hit the monster in the head in return. The monster had high defense, and the opponents flew in different directions. The comrades were surprised that even their captain could not break through the monster's defense. When the shark came to his senses, he raised waves again. The players saw that some of the ships were sailing away. At this time, the monster said that he almost died because of that blow. Chris said the players ran away, they lost. Alex said the real gift wasn't the Sea King's submarine fleet. This army division sets a long line to catch a huge fish. The guy said that their northern army is conquering land and sea. A few days later, a naval battle forced the players to widen the gap in power between them and the Sea King's army. Then someone called Alex and suggested they have some fun. It was the hero's sister, who had just arrived. They agreed to meet in front of a cinema near the airport. This conversation was overheard by Chris, who was furious that someone had called him. The girl said that she wanted to go with him. The hero replied that Chris would not be able to help him, especially since he was just meeting with a friend. After that, the guy quickly ran out and closed the door. Alex said that he and his sister went to kindergarten, and something happened that she remembered. At kindergarten, a teacher told me that if girls and boys kiss, they will get pregnant. A moment later, some dog kissed Alex. After some time, the dog gave birth to several puppies. At this time, Alex met Susie. The guy asked her what movie she had watched. The girl apologized and went away to talk. It was Kaiser who said he had discussed a few issues with the person in charge of the new game, but he was not interested in profit at all. The girl was surprised by this and thought that they were rich. The Kaiser replied that even he could not understand what they were thinking. In that case, Susie said she would help him get in touch, but a meeting could not be guaranteed. After that, she hung up and returned to Alex. The girl said that the hero is also straightforward. After some time, Alex returned home. The hero was met by Chris, who gave him a piercing look. She said that spring was coming soon, and she wanted to see how animals change during mating season. After that, Kaiser called and Alex asked him why he was calling. The director asked for a meeting, but the hero said that he had been busy lately. The man asked if Alex knew about the platform. They want to discuss with them the authorization for the event in the hero's game. Hearing this, the guy said that he would be happy to meet them. Kaiser said he would make reservations at the hotel for lunch. The next day, the heroes arrived at the most expensive hotel in the city. Alex was very surprised to meet his old friend there. The girl didn't expect that her friend could be responsible for the new game. Then Chris intervened and asked where the hero got the child. The hero replied that she was not his child, but just a friend. He didn't understand why everyone was looking at him like that. Susie approached Chris and asked where her parents were. The girl was upset that this girl was an orphan, adopted by Alex. Here, Chris said that they would fight on equal terms. The hero immediately began to calm her down and dissuade her from fighting over nonsense. Susie asked about streaming the event. The guy said that since she was the one asking, there wouldn't be any problems. After a short period of negotiations, the friends shook hands. The Kaiser was also surprised that the negotiations went so quickly. Alex began to cover Chris's mouth so that she wouldn't say anything unnecessary. Susie said she would take care of the event and the opening show. Kaiser was happy to hear such spoilers. Now his guild can prepare in advance. Chris, meanwhile, was furiously eating a large steak. At this time, some players were trying to get to the insect island. The guard wolves change every 2 hours. A couple of minutes later, the shift was completed. The guy said that this was his chance. A moment later, he grabbed some kind of fruit from a plant. At the same time, he discovered a wolf cub sitting next to him. After that, he kicked this puppy. Then the boy noticed that he was surrounded by a crowd of wolves. They captured his comrades. The player himself ordered not to approach him, or he would kill the cub. One of the wolves said that he had a player friend. He ordered his master to be released. The guy said the monster couldn't count on it. The wolves were surprised that the boy was still not scared and returned the wolf cub to them. The player's friend said that the young master was killed so easily. After these words, the leader of the wolves was furious.